Hi BookTube! My name is Sarah and welcome to the Bookish Knitter. Today I am coming to you with my May 2023 wrap-up and stats video. I have not done a wrap-up video in a while. They always seem to be the ones that fall to the side if I get busy, but I have been busier at the beginning of this month, or this year I should say, because, sorry, I got an itchy nose, because of my course for work and stuff like that. But now that that's all behind us, I am here to do all the videos for you lovely people, so buckle up. So this is my reading, stats, and wrap-up video. So I essentially go through a whole bunch of stats in this video that I love to keep track of because I think it's fun. And then I will share with you guys my top 5 reads of the month. So I read 20 books in May. It was my best reading month of the year. I think that's because I started to get back into audiobooks this month. And even though I was doing studying for my course and stuff like that, the audiobooks really did help to get some more reading done, which is always fantastic. So for my Goodreads goal, I'm 19 books ahead of schedule. This is as of June the 1st. I have read, again, as of June 1st, 85 out of the 150 book goal that I have, which is 57%. So as for my star rating, I read 1 2-star book, 1 2.5-star book, 3 3-star books, 4 3.5-star books, 7 4-star books, 3 4.5-star books, and a 5-star read. So sorry about the glare in my glasses. I do need my glasses on in order to read on my tablet. My average star rating was 3.70 stars. So, what did I read? What kind of books did I read? I read 9 contemporary romances. No surprise there. 6 middle grade fiction. It was definitely, it was middle grade May. And that really did show not only with the amount of middle grade books that I read, but also wait until we get to my top 5, you guys. I was actually kind of surprised. Pleasantly surprised, I should say. I read 2 YA contemporary novels, 2 mystery books, and 1 nonfiction. I like to keep track of the amount of category romance books I read, the Harlequin type books. 40% of what I read in the month of May was category romance. And that's about what I'm looking at, 40 to 50%, because they are the most books that I own. So it's kind of nice to be able to get through more of them. So I read 4 special edition novels, 3 desire novels, and a heartwarming. In terms of the age range for the books that I read 11 books geared towards an adult audience, 3 books for a YA audience, and 6 books for a middle grade audience. And this is a new stat that I like keeping track of, and that's where the books take place. And I think that this is a lot of fun to kind of see, especially at the end of the year. There's always more states that are written about than other states. Like New York and California are going to get a lot. But then other states like maybe Kentucky or Ohio, you might not see as many books set there. So I think that this is kind of interesting to keep track of. Again, 6 books set in California. 6 of the 20 that I read were set in California. 1 in Colorado, 1 in Illinois, 1 in Massachusetts, 2 in Michigan, 2 in Nevada, 1 in New York State, 2 in North Carolina, 1 in Pennsylvania, 1 in Texas, and 1 right here in Ontario. And anything that's set in Ontario or a Canadian province, I'm going to note the book. And that book was Ghostlight by Kenneth Opel. Stay tuned towards the end of this video for more of me talking about this fantastic book. But it was set not only in Ontario, but in the city of Toronto on Center Island, which was super fun. I read 1 book published in the 1940s, 3 books published in the 1980s, 1 from the 1990s, 1 from the 2010s, 7 books published in the 2020s because of my Harlequin project. That's probably what you're going to see. 1 book published in 2021, 4 books published in 2022, and 2 books published this year in 2023. 12 of the books that I read were on ebook, 7 were on audio, and I read 1 trade paperback. All 20 of the books that I read were full-length novels. 13 of the books were part of a series. 7 of them were standalone. That's not too bad, actually. Of those 13 that were part of a series, 5 of them were new series that I started. And 8 of them were part of ongoing series. Don't judge me. And for my page count, I read a grand total of 5,474 pages, which works out to approximately 177 pages a day. Not too shabby at all. So, some random fun little stats here that I like talking about. My highest rated book on Goodreads. So for this, I look at all the books that I read in the month of May, or whatever month it happens to be, and I sort them by average star rating. So the book that was the highest was The Firefly Summer by Morgan Matson. This book on Goodreads has an average star rating of 4.47 stars. This is a middle grade book. I gave it 4.5 stars. I really enjoyed this one. It was quite good. Again, I'll talk about it very shortly. The lowest rated book on Goodreads, no surprise, it typically is one of my throwback books, but it was Head Over Heels by Francine Pascal, coming in with 3.44 stars. I gave it 3.5 stars, so the average person rated it about the same as me. The longest book I read in terms of page length, again, I sort my list by number of pages, and the longest book I read was Quackery by Lydia King. I gave this book, or not what I gave it, it had 492 pages. This one I listened to on audio, and I really enjoyed it. Again, I will be talking about it very shortly. And the shortest book I read was One of the Gang by Francine Pascal, which is a Sweet Valley Twins novel, and this one had a whopping 106 pages. So, let's get into my top 5 books of the month. Excuse me. Cheers, everybody. A little sip of coffee as I'm doing this morning. Top 5 books. As I like to say every month that I do this, I'm going from my least most favorite to my most favorite. So, top 5. These are 5 of my favorite books of the month. So, coming in spot number 5 is What Lives in the Woods by Lindsay Curry. I gave this one 4 stars. This is a middle grade spooky horror novel by the same author who wrote Scritch Scratch. As I talked about in my review, I did like Scritch Scratch better, but this one was still good. About this family who ends up spending the summer at this kind of very creepy mansion I think it's in Michigan, and there's a ghost in the house. There's potentially these things in the woods. I'm not going to get too much into it. I enjoyed it. It did have a good level of spook and scary to it. But again, as I said in my review, Scritch Scratch was better. So if you are new to Lindsay Curry, don't start with Scritch Scratch. Start with like this one, maybe. It was a good book. Clearly, it made my top 5 books. But wasn't my favorite by her. Now, to be fair, I've only read 2 books by her, so it's not really a high bar at this point. Next up, speaking of spooky middle grade books, coming in spot number 4 is Ghostlight by Kenneth Opel. I gave this book 4.5 stars. This is the one set in Ontario on Center Island, and it's about a ghost in a lighthouse and how this boy who does the lighthouse tours kind of befriends this ghost, and there are all these ghosts who are trying to steal people's ghosts are trying to steal other ghosts to make them like sustenance, if you will, like to increase their powers, I guess you'd say. And this one was really creepy. For me, this really was the setting that sold me on this one. Being in Toronto, living as I do, just outside of the city, I spent a lot of time in Toronto. And this book just spoke to my heart because of the location more than anything else. But I did really, really like the story. The story still would have gotten a pretty good rating from me, even if it was set somewhere else. But just the fact it was set here in Ontario really kind of was like the icing on the cake for me. Next up, The Firefly Summer by Morgan Matson. I gave this one 4.5 stars. So three of my top five were middle grade books for middle grade May. This one was super cute, about a young girl who is just learning about her grandparents on her mother's side. She's only been raised by her father. Her mother passed away when she was quite young, and she goes to spend a summer at this camp that the grandparents used to run as a camp, but it's now like a resort in a way for the family for the summer to come and spend time. And it's going to be the last summer of this camp because it's being torn down. So our female lead is trying to find a way to save the camp. And, in it, she's learning more about her mother, who she doesn't really know a lot about. She knows a lot from her father, but her father doesn't really have the information from when her mom was young. So she's learning about that from her mother's family. Plus she's learning to, interact with all these cousins she now has and aunts and uncles. It was a really, really heartfelt and adorable story, and I liked it a lot. It had such summertime vibes. If you're looking for a summertime middle grade, definitely check this one out. Coming in spot number 2, Quackery by Lydia King. I loved this. I gave this book 4.5 stars. I am one, though, for weird medical history. So this one was right up my alley. And it's essentially like the weirdest ways that we have to cure things, or had to cure things. Some of the chapters are not for the squeamish, to be completely honest. Even me, who thinks that, you know, I'm pretty much okay with a lot of stuff, some of the chapters kind of had me, yeah, okay. When they're talking about stuff with the brain, you know, and how things used to be cured back then. You know, they went through chapters on like how cocaine used to be in like everything in children's medicine and this and that, and to how, you know, very quickly they realized that's not a thing. You know, what it was like to have surgery without anesthetic, which is a waking nightmare for me, to be completely honest. The idea of that just terrifies me to no end. And stuff like that. So like this book was good. The authors do a really great job of keeping it light, because this could delve into some very deep and heavy topics, or, you know, tone, if you will. But they kept it light, and there was parts when it was funny. I did enjoy it on audio quite a bit, because it's how I listened to it. I did have it from Chirp on audio, so yeah, it was really good, guys. Again, if you're into weird medical history, you might enjoy this one. Every time I pick up a nonfiction book, I'm like, I really enjoy it. And then I don't pick up another nonfiction book for 6 more months. I really do need to try to read more of them, because I think they're fantastic. And my number 1 book of the month was a contemporary romance, Lightning Strikes Twice by Elizabeth Herb. I gave this book 5 stars. I loved this. I gushed about this book when I read it. It was absolutely fantastic. It's about our 2 main characters who, it's kind of a frenemies to lovers kind of story. Like, she's a little annoyed at him, but he's trying to be her friend. But if you like the movie from the 90s, Twister, you're gonna love this book. He's a storm chaser, and she is back on her family's farm after her father's had a heart attack. She's trying to help with the farm. She is a big animal, or like a large animal veterinarian, like horses and cows and stuff like that. Yeah, I love this. I love this so much. Like, it was the Twister vibes that I got from this book that really sold me, because I am not a big movie watcher. I'm not someone who enjoys movies, but I love the movie Twister. It's one of, like, if I had to pick a top 5, it would be in my top 5 movies. So this book just made me super happy. And a lot of other people that I know who read it around the same time that I did really enjoyed it as well. So yeah, definitely give that one a shot if you are into contemporary romance. But yeah, anyway guys, that's it for this video. I do hope that you enjoyed it. These are not terribly long, and I know they're really stats heavy, and some of you have asked before for me to do like graphs and stuff like that, but that's just way more effort, to be completely honest, that I have to create all these things, and I'm not very good at it, so I'm not going to bother. But yeah, this is my, you know, mostly it's to hear what my top 5 books of the month were. But I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what your favorite book that you read in the month of May was. And until my next video, take care and happy reading. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye, guys.